I lost 35 pounds after menopause with Asian Pilates, but it did not happen when I got stricter. It happened when I finally understood why my body was holding on. And the second shift was the one that changed everything. If you're in menopause right now and feel like your body has become heavier, puffier, harder around the middle, and strangely unresponsive no matter how hard you try, stay with me. What changed for me was not more discipline. It was realizing that my body was not refusing to change. It was protecting itself. For a long time, I thought the problem was simple. I thought I needed better habits, better control, better consistency, and more effort. That is what most women are told in one form or another. If your body changes, tighten up. If your weight goes up, get stricter. If nothing is working, push harder. That advice sounds logical when you are scared. And I was scared. Not only of the weight itself, but of what it seemed to mean. I was scared of not recognizing myself. Scared of opening my closet and feeling defeated before the day even began. Scared that this version of my body was becoming permanent. And beneath all of that was a quieter fear. Maybe I was doing something wrong and just had not figured it out yet. That fear changed the way I approached everything. It made me overwatch myself. It made me judge every bloated day. It made every meal feel loaded. It made every sign of change feel like an emergency I needed to fix quickly. At the time, I thought that meant I cared. Now I see something else. My body was hearing alarm. And when a body lives in alarm for long enough, it does not always relax and release. Sometimes it does the opposite. Sometimes it tightens, guards, and holds on. That was exactly what mine was doing. I remember one evening pulling on a pair of fitted pants that used to be my safe option. The pair I wore when I wanted to feel put together without thinking too much. As soon as I buttoned them, I felt that familiar pressure around my waist. Not just physically, emotionally. I stood there with my hand on my stomach, staring at myself, and what hit me was not anger. It was this. My body felt braced against me. That is still the best way I can describe it. Braced. As if it no longer trusted the way I was trying to help it. That was the real problem, and I did not understand it yet. I kept assuming I needed more intensity, but intensity was part of why my body would not let go. That is why these 4 shifts mattered. The first shift was that I stopped trying to rush my body out of the phase it was in. This was hard because urgency had become normal to me. I wanted relief fast. I wanted proof fast. I wanted to know I was not stuck. That urgency touched everything. The way I moved, the way I ate, the way I thought, the way I reacted to slow progress. Even when I looked calm on the outside, inside I was always trying to hurry the process along. But a body that feels rushed often responds by becoming more guarded. What stood out to me about Asian Pilates was that it did not increase that urgency. It did not feel like one more demand placed on an already overwhelmed system. It felt steadier, more measured, more respectful of the body I was living in now, not the one I kept trying to force my way back into. That mattered immediately. Not because I saw instant weight loss, because I felt less chased by the process. And when you stop feeling chased, something in your body can begin to soften. That was the first shift. I stopped rushing, and my body stopped feeling hunted. The second shift was the biggest one. My body no longer felt attacked by the process. This is where I think many women miss what is really happening. 2 routines can both look healthy from the outside, but your body can experience them completely differently. Before this, so much of my effort was built on force. I was trying to create results by pushing through fatigue, pushing through resistance, pushing through disappointment, pushing through myself. That comes with a cost. You start dreading your own routine. You start resenting the process. You start feeling as though health is just another word for pressure. And that is a terrible environment for lasting change. Asian Pilates felt different because it was intentional without feeling punishing, structured without feeling harsh. I did not feel like I had to override my body just to keep going. And because of that, I could come back to it without that giant emotional argument that used to happen every time I tried to get back on track. That was new. And that was powerful. Because once my body stopped feeling attacked, it stopped pushing back in the same way. That was when I first felt something I had not felt in a very long time. Cooperation. Not perfection. Not instant transformation. Cooperation. And when you've spent months or years feeling like your body is resisting you, cooperation feels enormous. That was the shift that changed everything. The third shift was that I noticed release before I saw the full result. This is where women can lose patience too early, because we are trained to look for dramatic proof. We want the big visible change, the obvious number, the moment that finally reassures us. But that is not what came first for me. What came first was release. My body looked less puffy. My waist felt less hard. My clothes stopped feeling so unforgiving. My face looked softer, less tired, less burdened. I woke up feeling less swollen and less like my whole body had been gripping through the night. That was the first real sign. And I almost dismissed it because it did not seem dramatic enough. That was my mistake. I had become so fixated on the final result that I nearly missed the early evidence that my body was already changing its response. Release came first, then trust, then steadiness, then the bigger visible changes. That sequence mattered because once I recognized release, I stopped panicking every time I did not have dramatic proof yet. Instead of constantly asking, "Why is this not happening faster?" I started noticing, something is shifting. That question is kinder, and it leads to much better decisions. The fourth shift was deeper than anything physical. I stopped relating to my body like it was a problem I had to control all day long. This may have been the hardest pattern to break because it had become so normal. I was always checking, correcting, adjusting, evaluating. My body had become a daily project, and the project always felt slightly behind. There was always something to improve, something to tighten, something to manage better. That mindset does not just create exhaustion, it creates distance. You stop living in your body and start supervising it. That is a painful way to live. Asian Pilates changed that by bringing me back into my body differently. Not through panic, not through punishment, not through constant correction. It helped me pay attention without immediately judging. It helped me notice support instead of only flaws. It helped me feel that my body was not the enemy in the room. And once that changed, something else changed too. I started making better choices from a calmer place. Not because I was scared, not because I was ashamed, not because I was trying to compensate for another bad day, but because steadiness was replacing panic. And that matters more than people think. Panic makes everything urgent and fragile. Steadiness makes things repeatable. Panic makes every setback feel like failure. Steadiness helps you keep going. Panic makes your body grip. Steadiness helps it begin to let go. That was the real shift. So when I say I lost 35 pounds after menopause with Asian Pilates, what I really mean is that my body finally let go because the conditions changed. I stopped rushing the process. My body stopped feeling attacked by the process. I recognized release before the full result. And I stopped living in constant supervision of my own body. Those were the shifts that mattered. The weight loss came out of those shifts. And I think this matters because so many women are still being told to respond to menopause weight gain with more pressure, more urgency, more force. But if your body is already overwhelmed, that advice can become the very thing that keeps it holding on. That was true for me. I was not stuck because I did not care enough. I was not stuck because I lacked discipline. I was not stuck because my body was broken. I was stuck because the process I was using made my body feel like it had to defend itself. Once that changed, my body changed too. Not all at once. Not perfectly. Not without patience. But enough that I stopped feeling trapped in the old story. And emotionally, that changed everything. Because when your body finally begins to let go, you do not just lose weight. You lose some of the fear, some of the shame, some of the private hopelessness that builds up when nothing seems to work. You stop waking up already bracing for disappointment. You stop treating every day like a test you are about to fail. You stop believing that more suffering must be the answer. You begin to realize that your body may still be capable of far more change than you had started to believe. That is what this taught me. Not just that 35 pounds could come off, but that a calmer, steadier, more supportive approach could do what force never could. If you are in menopause right now and feel like your body is holding on no matter what you do, remember this. Sometimes the problem is not that your body cannot let go. Sometimes the problem is that the process you are using gives it no reason to feel safe enough to release. That was my experience. And once I understood it, everything started changing. If this resonated with you, watch the Menopause Weight Reset series next. I made that playlist for women who feel stuck, inflamed, discouraged, or like their body no longer responds to the old rules. Each video builds on the last one, and if this felt familiar, that playlist will help you feel more understood, more supported, and much less alone. And if this message spoke to you, please subscribe to Hormonal Balance Institute. Every subscribe, comment, and bit of engagement helps this message reach another woman who may be standing in front of her mirror right now feeling defeated, confused, and certain that nothing will ever work again. So subscribe to Hormonal Balance Institute, and then watch the Menopause Weight Reset series. Because losing 35 pounds was not just about the weight. It was about finally understanding why my body was holding on and what helped it finally let go.